Okay, I want to walk you through how to deploy a recommender because it's similar but a little bit different from deploying a regression or classification model like we did in a prior video. So here's an example. Since we've been working through the movies examples in the book, I'm going to stick with that example. So I've got a couple of data sets here that I found these actually on Kaggle. This is movie ratings for well, actually, it's hypothetical. I take it back. I didn't get it from Kaggle. This is a synthetic data set that I made based on a Kaggle data set. But anyway, I've got a user item rating triple here. I'm just going to preview the data to show it to you. So user, show ID, and then a rating. And it's already in the order we need, so that makes it really simple. So that's why I don't have a select columns pill next. And then over here, I have data about the people who did the rating. So I've got their user ID. And that's a primary key that matches with the foreign key of user ID here in the movie's ratings table. But then I've got some other things that may be useful about the users. Name, phone number, this is all synthetic, made-up data here, including age and gender. But then over here I've got Boolean values about whether or not they have each of these subscriptions. I'm going to use this data set as user features to improve a collaborative filtering model, which means that I need the wide and deep, train and score wide and deep recommender, which includes both the collaborative filtering model here of the user item rating triple, as well as user and or item features. So I left out the movies titles. I'm not going to do features about the movies just to keep this example simple. But if I had those, I could include them here and incorporate them here on the item features inputs. All right, so to keep this simple, I'm just going to stick with what I've got. This select columns, the only thing I'm doing here is getting rid of everything, but I need the primary key first. By the way, that's a common mistake. A lot of my students, they don't realize if they get a data set where the user ID or the item ID is not in the first position, it'll give an error because the SVD recommender and the wide and deep recommender are both expecting, only the wide and deep recommender, because that's the one that uses user and item features. It's expecting those data sets to have the user ID and item ID in the first position. So if it's not, you need to go through and make sure that you select it in the first position and then allow duplicates and preserve column order and selection. That will force it to remain there first. So that's a common mistake I get. But anyway, with this example, that won't be an issue because it's already in the first position. I'm just going to go ahead and configure and submit this. All right, give that a second, let it run. Okay, because I've run this before, it just pulled up a version from cache and it's already finished. So the only thing I'm going to check for, by the way, I forgot to mention that the type of score that I used is an item recommendation from unrated items. So remember, we have the rating prediction, which only gets us model fit metrics. We don't deploy rating prediction. That just gets us the RMSE, R squared, and stuff like that. Then I've got item recommendation with 3 options. From rated items is the default, but that's also only for model evaluation, and it gives you other fit metrics like the NDCG score and a few others, precision, recall. Anyway, you would really only use from all items or from unrated items for deployment. Doesn't matter which one you use for this example. I'm going to use from unrated items. So let's see, I'll stick with 5 items to recommend. That's totally fine. And I've already got it running and it's done. So that's what I'm looking at here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the results. Score data set. So user ID is the input. That's the only input I need, and I get 5 recommendations back. Okay, so we got to remember that. When we deploy this, we are going to send in a user ID to get these 5 recommendations. Okay. No problem. So now that we have this, the next step is to here we go, create inference pipeline, real-time inference pipeline. And it brings us to this view. It's missing the web service input. I'm not sure why it does that. It's done that to me a few times. But anyway, not a problem. Web service input, we can bring it in ourselves, and it connects down here into this data set to score on the wide and deep recommender. If we were using, by chance, the SVD recommender, I just want to show you, it would go right here into this data set to score on this one. On the wide and deep, it's this second one over. but I'll get rid of that one. Okay, with that in there though, I need to make a couple other changes. Most importantly, I don't need everything in the movies ratings data set anymore. All I need is the user ID. So I'm going to grab a select columns in data set. I'm going to disconnect this one. I think it doesn't matter if this movie ratings goes into the optional one over there, so I'm going to leave that as it is. If I'm wrong, we'll find out the hard way and we'll change it. Anyway, connect this one back to where movie ratings was going to. And then from here, I'm going to just remove those columns I don't need anymore. So I only need user ID. I don't need show ID or rating. It's going to predict show ID and rating based on the user ID. So let's save that. Okay. I think I'm good. I'm trying to think if I've forgotten anything. Nope, I think we'll be all right. Let's go ahead and configure and submit this. I have an existing one. I'll add this too. Oh, my instance has stopped. 1 second. Okay, just got that started. Runtime settings. Okay, looks good. Review and got rid of this. These tests. There we go. Review and submit. Okay. I'm going to reorganize it a little bit. Not that that's necessary, but oh well, that's fine. Okay, let's view the details. This one, yeah, I guess it can't use, since I added this, it can't pulpit cache version. So I'm going to pause until this is done. Okay, now that this is done, we're going to go ahead and deploy this. And as you're going to see, it is going to give us an error. And I want to talk about what the error means. And this is where recommender deployment differs a bit from the others. So I'm going to call this movies test. I'm going to change ask compute to an Azure container instance. And let's click deploy. All right, here's our error. Please, so it failed. Oh, it always goes away. You can pull up those again here from notifications. Deployment failed. Please follow these steps. Use select column to connect with your initial data set with settings of all selected columns. 2, register the outputs of select columns as a file data set. 3, replace the initial data set with this newly registered data set. All right, you probably have no clue what it's talking about there. Let me show you what it means. So what it means is it doesn't like these data sets in the format they're in for a recommender model. That's fine. It's actually pretty easy to fix. The way we'll fix it is, first of all, I'm going to go to not the data set, but the select columns after the data set right here. And I'm going to right click and say register results data set. And this is going to register it as a new data set. Now you'll click new data set, but since I already did this earlier, I'm going to make it a new version of an existing data set. Which one is it? I called it, that's movies users registered. Okay, save. And then same thing right here with this one. I'm going to right click on the select columns, register data set, results data set, new version. But again, you're just going to make it a new data set and you'll give it a new name. But I'm just going to select the existing name, movies. Oh, where is that? Movies ratings register. Yeah, there it is. Save. Okay. Now that we've created these new registered versions, oh, you know what? I better make a new one because I just realized you've got another setting. Let me show you what I mean. When I go to register results data set, down here, make sure that you select when you do new data set, when you give it a name, make sure that you select file recommended. Don't use tabular. That's important or else this process won't work. So when you register these as new data sets, select file. Okay. Next, I've got to go back to the designer view, this one right here, and I need to get rid of these and replace them with these new registered versions. So movies ratings registered, I'm going to pull that one down into data. Do I need it in training? Let's find out. I can't remember if I need that there or not. But then movies users registered, pull this one in and connect this one where the other one used to go there into user. So again, we don't have item data. We're leaving that one blank. I think here on the deployed one, I don't need that training data anymore. So, well, it won't hurt. Let's pull it in here. I don't think it's going to give us a problem either way. Okay, let's configure and submit this thing. We'll give that a second to give us the link. Oh, there. Same thing right here. Open a new tab. I'm going to close this one out. Here's this new one. It's still struggling. Let's try clicking it from there. Okay, here we go. And actually, since it is cached from previously, everything's already all good. Okay, this one finished. This one should deploy unless I did something wrong here. Let's find out. Oh, not notifications, deploy. We're going to make a new real-time endpoint. I'll call this movies endpoint. Change this to an Azure container instance. Deploy. Now, fingers crossed, instead of giving us an error, there we go, creating real-time endpoint. Now it's happy. I'm going to go to deploy details. Now, throughout this process, this is going to take like a half an hour or so. It starts out, actually, it went straight to transitioning. Sometimes the speed really varies. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes, sometimes it takes a couple hours, but usually it'll start off as unhealthy, and then after, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, it'll change to transitioning. Eventually, it's going to change to healthy. I think it went straight to transitioning for me because I already created one of these before. Maybe it's cached. I had deleted it, but I guess we'll see. So, but either way, I'm going to pause the video now, and we're just going to wait for the deployment state to finish. It has to say healthy. While we're waiting, you're going to notice a variety of messages will come up, and we're going to ignore all of them and not worry about it until this is done. Okay, looks like this is done. Let's take a look at the messages we got here. The one I was looking for, it didn't give to me, I think because it had cached a prior version of this and everything went through really smoothly. But previously, let's see if I can find it here in my backlog. Nope, I got rid of it. Sometimes I get a message in green that says something to the effect of the process timed out. Just keep waiting. And I've had that worry a few students before. No problem if you see that. It's a green message, which means nothing's wrong. It's just saying, just chill. It may take a while for this to finish. Like I said, sometimes it's taken up to a couple hours for a deployment state to finally be healthy. Anyway, all right, we've got our endpoint created. Let's go ahead and call this thing I'm going to start this over. Actually, I'll keep this, replace it. No, I'm going to delete this out of here. Okay, first of all, import requests in JSON for Python. Next, we need a URL. This is my old one. I'm going to get that out of here. And then we'll need a key. And then we'll need headers and data. And then we'll make our request. It'll be a post. And then we'll pass in the URL. We'll say headers equals headers. Data equals data. And then we'll print out the response. All right, let's grab everything we need back here. It's all in our documentation. So here's where our REST endpoint is. I'm going to copy that URL. Come back here, paste that in for URL. Our key, go back to our documentation. You're going to find that under consume, just like we did before. Here it is under this key, copy that. I'm going to delete this endpoint when I'm done, so there's no point in copying my key. You'll want to make your own if you want to actually test this. Headers are the same as we did in a prior video. Content type, application JSON, authorization. This is OAuth2, bears space, our key that's right here. The data, we need to find the format. So I got to spell that right, request. We need to find the format that the request goes in. So again, we have this Python example code down here, but it just says data and it's blank. It's not giving us the format for what it's supposed to show up in. I went to this URL once and it didn't give me anything useful that I could find, but I did find where you can get it. Go here to details, come down to the Swagger URI, copy that, paste this into a browser. If you're in Chrome, you can do this pretty print. That's super useful. Let's zoom in. And we're looking for the format that requests are sent in. Right here. okay, example, inputs. I'm going to copy from here, I think, to right there. Technically, I don't even think I need that. Maybe from here to here. Okay. Paste that in. Pull this back. Yeah, I think we're good. I'm going to pull this one back a little further too. Inputs, input 1. All right. Oh, it's asking me for user ID, show ID, and rating. It shouldn't be asking for that. Technically, because I took those out, and those should get ignored. I think it's pulling this up from a cached version I made earlier, and it shouldn't be. I redid the video to get rid of show ID and rating. That was the whole point of us taking them out back, all the way back. I guess I don't have it up. Before we made these registered versions in the select columns, we eliminated everything but user ID. That's okay. Hopefully you can get the idea. If you're following along and doing this, you're probably not seeing show ID and rating right here. In fact, I'm going to try and submit without them too and see if that works. All right, so we've got user 1 through all these. Request needs to be requests. There we go, .post. Okay, response 400. Oh, that's because when I sent the data up, before we can send it, we first have to JSON.dumps the data, so it gets in JSON format. But then that JSON format needs to be encoded as a string. So wrap that whole thing in string encode. This is just like we did before. Hopefully this feels really familiar to you. All right, 200 looks like it did work. Everything's fine with the response. I wonder, though, I'm going to narrow it down to just 1. Test that again. I don't need all 3. But I'm going to take out the rating and show ID and see if it needs those, or if it can do without them. No. All right, so I think, again, it shouldn't have asked me for show ID and rating, because these are ignored. They're useless. This is what it's going to predict. It wants a user, and then it's going to predict what 5 shows they're going to want to watch. Actually, it's not even going to consider that show or this rating. So in yours, I'm guessing you won't have that problem because you didn't cache or create one previously like I did before this video. All right. Let's take a look at the rest of the response back here. And let's go to response.text. Okay, perfect. This is what we needed. So now it's giving me back user 1, which I don't need, but I've got the 5 recommendations for that user right here. So this is what I'm looking for. Let's just parse through that. I'm going to, let's store it, results, I guess, equals json.loads. res.text, so that converts it to JSON, and I'll just make a loop for rec in results. Let's drill down to results. That takes us into here. Now I'm into this dictionary, but now I got to go down to this level. Okay, so now I went to results, now to this level. That takes me to this list. So the first item in the list is this whole thing. So really I can just go to the first item right there. So now that takes me to this level. Now within this dictionary, so now I'm in a dictionary. What's the best way to do this? I guess I can just do dot items. And then instead of recommendation, it's going to be key value pair. And we'll print out key value. Okay. User we can ignore. On what we could have done is like we did in our prior video, if we wanted to get rid of that user, we could in our results right here, between the score, wide, and deep recommender, we could add another select columns pill right here, and we could filter out the user. So notice when I'm going to drill into the jobs here. Nope, not that one. Movies test. This one right here. Okay, when you take a look, this is what I'm talking about. The score wide and deep, score data set. It's returning, you can see user and each of the recommended items. We can get rid of this right here by, actually we wouldn't do it from this view, we do it from the designer view. And do it right here. Delete this guy, grab a select columns, not in data, over here in component. Okay, double click on this guy and say we want everything except, I'm going to add an exclude line here. Exclude column names user. There we go. Include all columns. That's how we ignore this line. If we just say include all columns, then we can add a level and say now exclude column names user. Save. There we go. If I run this thing, then my web service output will no longer give me back this user one at the beginning. It's not necessary. It's a little OCD, to be honest. I just didn't want to send it back since I already know what the user is. I sent it to them right here, user one. And hopefully you're not too upset with me for leaving this in. Again, don't worry about that show ID and rating. Hopefully you didn't get it on your version because, again, of that caching issue, but those are totally ignored. It really just needs a user ID and it sends back the rest. Okay, hope this was helpful.